Hey everyone, this is going to be a very quick guide just running the WoW Classic client on the Macbook Neo with the Apple A18 processor. We're going to do 3 graphics runs first, a low run, lower settings, just to see what our highest frame rate can be. A bit theoretical there. We're going to go through and run it on the highest graphic settings. And then test out a bit of optimal settings for a bit of 60 frame action, just for some basic questing, grinding out the dailies. I'm not going to go into raiding or dungeons in this, because if you're going to be raiding or doing dungeons, I'm guessing you'll be doing so on a desktop PC. But this is great if you've got a MacBook Neo that you're sitting on the couch with and want to do a bit of questing or grind out some dailies, or if you're traveling, generally away from home. So we'll jump into the first run here and see how we go. So even here in the auction house, we're getting over 100 frames a second, 87, 89 in the high population city area. Again, look, if you don't mind having ultra low resolution and ultra low draw distance and other settings, which is perfectly fine, bear in mind that this is ultra low. You can see jaggies everywhere. It's really not what I'd sort of, even that resolution, 802, that's 33% of the native render scale. Unless you're really keen on seeing this running at ridiculous frame rates, I wouldn't really bother with this, unless of course you want to. These are the graphic settings I'm using at the moment. For our second run, we're going to push graphic settings to the highest level possible. We're going to notice that frame rate will sit at around 30 frames. It'll drop to the 20s in high population areas. This is purely to see best case scenario with the graphic settings on the A18 Pro. I wouldn't really recommend anyone be using this in day-to-day gaming. But here are the settings, I'm going to go through them in a second. Render scale set to 100. Vertical sync, low latency, anti-aliasing all disabled. So you get a bit silly trying to turn all those on. But then we'll set graphics quality to 10 with ray tracing off, of course. And we'll sit just over 30 frames, that it will drop quite a bit once we get into the populated area of the city. Now we'll have a quick look at semi-optimized settings. These aren't the be-all and the end-all, of course. You can tweak these if you want to save battery power or get a bit more frame rate out of your system. But I found that setting the system to these settings, for me at least, gave me a solid 60 wandering around the place, as well as solid 60 in high population areas. Now with these settings you may be able to push your gameplay a little bit further, but of course that's totally up to you. One thing I didn't set in the graphics settings just before, which I did for a second run, is to lock the maximum frame rate at 60. You can see here I was bouncing up to 87 for a bit there, and now settling back to 65. If you do want and enjoy that smoother locked experience, lock that max frame rate to 60 frames a second, just to avoid bouncing all over the place. Save a tiny bit of power, save a tiny bit of battery performance. Finally, here's where I lock the frame rate to 60, as I mentioned earlier in the video. I want the setting max foreground FPS ticked and set to 60. Close that off. And you better carry on at a locked 60 in most environments. Some areas you might get a bit of a drop here and there, but for a smooth experience, you might want to keep it set at locked at 60. One main question you could have is, why not just use the target frame rate setting that's inbuilt in the WoW menu? What this is meant to do is alter your graphics settings dynamically based on load to try and achieve that frame rate. In the brief time I've spent messing with this, I haven't gotten anything meaningful to come from this setting. It'll still drop way below 60 into the 40s and 50s. So let me know if you have had success with this in the comments, be it on the metal graphics here on the Macbook Neo or on your PC. I had a brief read on a few forums earlier. A few people don't really have any success with that either. I'm not sure if it is just a Mac setting or if it's just an issue with the actual setup of the variable graphics quality that isn't really giving it amazing response. But if you've used this with success in the past, please let me know in the comments below. The main breakdown is from this, that from my theory, the main takeaway from me, at least with this, is manually adjusting your settings, locking it at 60 is going to give you the best performance and the best visual quality, at least for WoW Classic, on this MacBook Neo with the A18 Pro. If you found this interesting, leave a comment below. It's often just interesting to see how well some of these older games run on these newer hardwares. I've seen a few videos out and about recently with people having some great success running emulation on this chipset. So a lot of interesting information out there for the graphics that this little machine's putting out. So have a bit of a watch of those videos as well, and let me know if you've got one of these devices and if you're also enjoying it. Thanks for watching.